Yo, what's going on, everybody? So, I wanted to hop on here and talk about the worst dates I've ever been on. Now, I've been on my fair share of pretty poor first dates, but these are my S tier worst ones of all time. The type of first date you look back on and cringe. You know, when you're in the shower and a memory hits you and you just shudder? Ugh. That's these. That's what I do to these. So, I'm kind of embarrassed to share these, but I'm going to do it because, this is a judgment free zone. Let's just remember that. And yeah, let's jump right into it. The first one that sticks out in my mind is in 2019, I was on a family vacation in California. We had been there for a while, like a week and a bit, and at this point, we were in San Diego. Now, my family went off to do something that day, and I took the day to go explore the city and see some shit. I went to a skate shop and bought a board, cut it up with the owner. He was pretty cool. I went to a dispensary and got weed and kind of explored the area. I mean, the city was very nice. It was cool to do, besides being attacked by the homeless every 2 milliseconds. But besides that, I had a pretty good day. Now, I had already been talking to this girl on Tinder for a while at this point. I mean, it was preemptive. I knew on this Saturday that I was going to try and link with a girl and get sushi. I heard that the sushi in the city was good, so that was my plan. And honestly, it worked out pretty well. I mean, it all came together. So I started talking to this girl, and she said she knew a spot that was the best sushi place in the city. It was authentic, blah, blah, blah. And I agreed to meet with her. Now, only after agreeing to the plans did I decide to Google where she was talking about and realize that this place was 2 hours on foot away from where I was. And I was like, oh, fuck. So I attempted to call an Uber, but my card kept getting declined, probably because it was a Canadian card and I was in San Diego. So I didn't even bother with a taxi. It is what it is. I just decided, yep, I got to skate there. But oh my God, it was 2 hours pure uphill. Since I had the skateboard, I guess it was an hour 20, an hour 30, but holy fuck, it was hot as shit. And I was pulling up to meet this girl. And I was showing up just soaked, sweating through my shirt, pull the baseball cap off. My hair's slicked back, soaking wet. I was disgusting. I reeked. It was a bad scene. And I was like, I guess it is what it is. I mean, I was kind of concerned about it, you know? But right when I got there, I realized it didn't matter at all because I had been tricked. I had been fooled yet again. She bamboozled me, and it was not her from the photos. Or I don't know who it was in those photos, but I guess you guys can probably piece it together here. It wasn't like I was pulling up and being like, oh, you were so much uglier in those photos. You know what I'm saying here? You get what I'm hinting at? So she was built like a linebacker. I mean, she was taller than me, she was wider than me, she was more jacked than me. It was bad. I was pissed off and she was acting awkward about it, but I was like, what did you expect to happen? So anyways, I'd come all this way. I heard there was good sushi in San Diego. I didn't want to miss out. No, I'm not a thirsty motherfucker. But, so we continued with, I guess you could call it, the date. Now, in this restaurant, we were literally the only people in there. The tension was palpable. It was awkward as fuck. Nobody was saying anything. When the waitress came to ask if we wanted drinks, it was super quick. She was even kind of like, oh shit. It was weird, man. I didn't want to engage in conversation because I felt like I didn't owe her anything, you know? I was getting sushi, we were splitting the bill, and I was leaving. That was my plan. Now, also, I forgot to mention that she was gross. And I don't mean this to be rude, but also, you catfished me, so fuck you. She was just doing, gross things, you know? She was wiping her nose like a little kid would, and there was, visibly snot, on her arm. She also vaped a lot. She had one of those old school box mod vapes that Subaru kids would have back in the day. You remember those massive fucking battery packs and people would blow the biggest clouds you've ever seen? She was rocking one of those. That blew me away. I was like, yo, girls should not be rocking box mod vapes. That was crazy. She was ripping that thing like I had never seen. So she was naturally just nasally, I guess, from this. I feel like it would make you all stuffed up. And she was just kind of you could hear it in her voice how much she vaped. And she was just snotty as shit. It was gross. She was gross. It grossed me out. But, anyways, eventually we got to talking because it was so awkward. I just couldn't sit in silence anymore. So, whatever. It didn't turn out to be the worst conversation. I mean, we had similar sense of humor, you know, so we had things to talk about. It was all right. Eventually the sushi came. I think I already said it. It was pretty good sushi. You know, it was authentic. He like makes it in front of you, all this shit. I fucked with it. After the date, we go outside. We're standing out front. I'm getting ready. I'm like, I'm going to dip. I'm just going to say see ya. She pulls out a pack of menthol cigarettes. Not only is she vaping, but she's ripping darts. I mean, pick a lane, lady. I mean, do you really need both? I mean, that was crazy to me. Anyways, she was smoking these menthols and I bummed one. I hate menthol, but fuck it. So we were chatting a little bit longer out there. And remember, it's not nice to pass judgment onto others, when you haven't been in their shoes. I just want you guys to remember that. So somehow at this point, she convinces me to come back to her apartment. Now, I know I was originally going to get out of there, but I don't know. I don't know what happened. I guess I blacked out or something, but I agreed to this. So we got in the Uber, she paid, and we whipped back over to her apartment. Now, when we got inside, it was like gross. She was kind of living like a bachelor, like a dude would live. I mean, the place was in disarray. There was like clothes on the ground, and she only had an air mattress. She had a couch and a TV, but and a lot of fucking smokes on the counter. It was crazy. Also, I forgot to mention this. She had a pretty deep voice. I'm not gonna lie. It was pretty deep, maybe deeper than mine. It was nuts. I will say she did have big titties. She had that going for her. I mean, she had huge boobs. They were big. So we were in her apartment and we just were like watching TV. I knew I wasn't going to do anything. That's like, I knew I was not going to sleep with this girl. There was no fucking way. But for some reason, I was here. I don't know what's wrong with me. But once we got into her apartment, I mean, she was completely alpha in this scenario. She had me fully dominated and was making like all the moves. But I was trying my best to resist. I was still committed to like nothing is happening here. But, she was wearing the pants in this situation. I'm not going to lie. And we got to talking because I think she was getting a little impatient and wanted things to pick up because we were just chilling on the couch watching TV. And she started telling me things that like she fucked with, like things that a guy would do. We got on the topic of her boobs because I was complimenting them as you do. And one thing kind of led to another, and I motorboated her. Now, that was all. That's all we did, and I don't regret it. It wasn't a bad experience at all. I mean, she had tig old bitties. It was a good time, and she fucked with it, and I didn't sleep with her. So I think it was, all around it was a win-win. But regardless of that, even when I left there, because I left almost immediately after that, even though nothing happened and that was the extent of our intimateness, I still left there with like full post nut clarity. I mean, it was that bad. I had to go back across the city, so I had a long, agonizing skate across San Diego, just in my own head, having a panic attack, questioning like every decision I've ever made. But eventually I got back to the hotel and took a long, hot, sanitizing shower, and that was it, that was all she wrote. Now, the second one that sticks out in my mind was like much later down the road. I mean, I was on Hinge at this point. I wasn't using any of like the hookup apps. I was looking for something a little more serious, and that's important to this story. So it wasn't just a hookup. I was like trying to start something a little more serious with a girl, right? So I met this girl in Toronto, and she showed up like 45 minutes late. Now, I don't really care. Things happen. We're grown-ups, so I let it slide. But after I said like, "Hey, what's up? How was your journey here?" like 3 words into the conversation, she took a phone call. Now, again, I don't care too much because you don't know what's going on in people's lives and like maybe someone relies on her, right? So, again, I let it slide. But the weird thing was it didn't really sound that serious. It more sounded like it was with a friend, and it was a long duration. It was like 8 to 10 minutes on the phone. I was just sitting there saying nothing. Now, we were supposed to go to this bar that I like. I think it's a great bar. I mean, it's like the perfect vibe for a date. It's a little classy. It has multiple levels. There's a lot of activity. It has a good menu, interesting drinks, all that shit. But she was like dead set on going to this one near her house. And I was like, okay, I don't care, whatever. She hyped it up. She said it was going to be fun. She's like, I love going there, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, bet, like, sure, we can go there, no problem. So I whipped down in my truck and met her there. Now, the first thing I noticed about this bar was like, it was incredibly small. It was a hole in the wall. It was a local watering hole. I mean, it was only alcoholics there. There was like 5 regulars and that was it. There was no music playing. It was very bright. It was a bad bar, man. I mean, the way she hyped this thing up, I was like, yo, this place sucked. Like, mine would have been so much better. Obviously, I didn't say that to her. But not to mention, they also had like karaoke going. And I guess it was a condition in this bar. You were only allowed to sing if you were blacked out and could barely speak to begin with, because that was the only people getting up to do karaoke. And it was relentless. It was one after the other. I mean, one dude got up like 5 times in a row and could barely stand. It sucked. It sucked and it was super loud. They had it cranked, so it was like intolerable to listen to, you know? It was a bad bar, but she seemed to like love it, so whatever. She got up and did karaoke actually a few times throughout the night and she killed it. I'm not going to lie. She was the only person who got up and did good. She murdered it. It was kind of attractive. Now, I want to mention that the first girl in this story, the San Diego girl, was like, not my cup of tea. And this girl I was with now was like way more attractive, but her personality was way worse. I mean, the only conversation we had the entire night it was all one sided. I mean, I was asking questions and she was doing all the talking, but she never like reciprocated. She never asked me anything. By the end of this date, I pretty much knew every minute detail of this girl's life, and she probably couldn't tell you one thing about me. And she trauma dumped like the whole time. This was the very first time I ever met her. I mean, she was telling me shit that was like I should not be knowing, things about her childhood, relationship with her parents, an ongoing issue with her landlord, something with her friend. It was like the only thing she could think about and talk about was like traumatic incidents and negative things happening in her life. Maybe it was because she was getting like pretty fucking drunk, but I was still like off put by this. I mean, everything that was going on from start to finish of this date was just a massive red flag. And when we were at this bar, I started to realize like, oh damn, she was 100% also a regular here. Everybody in there knew her. They were all coming up to like say what up. They were talking to her like they were best friends. And I was like, okay, I was piecing it together. Like she was also killing drinks, like I mentioned. I was trying to keep pace for a while, but like I was like, yo, it's a Wednesday night. There's no need to be this deep. She kept going though. She kept trucking. And I was like, all right, she's for sure an alkie. She's here a lot. And that was also a big red flag. Because like I said, it wasn't like a hookup. It was Hinge. So I wasn't interested, I was not down. This was not my vibe, and I kind of wanted to wrap things up. I wanted to get out of here at this point. And it was kind of difficult to get that message across because, like I said, she was hammered, and I felt like I was like, ooh, I felt like she was like teetering on that line of like, some girls, once they get kind of drunk and something upsets them, they'll cry, especially when they've had a lot of drinks. And I was like nervous that that was going to be this scenario, if I was like being like, all right, I got to go, or hey, it's time for us to leave, like putting a immediate end to the date. I was kind of concerned. So I was trying to let it play out a little bit naturally, come to a close. I stopped getting drinks. I kind of was showing that I was eager to leave, but she wasn't getting the message at all. It wasn't working whatsoever. And she kept talking about this situation with her landlord, and she kept saying things to me being like to be fair, like the situation that was ongoing, I did sympathize with her like a bit because it did seem gnarly, like there was like cops involved in a break-in in a bad neighborhood, right? So I was like, all right, that sucks. But she kept saying things to me like, oh, I wish I didn't have to go home alone. I wish I didn't have to be there at night. I wish I wasn't scared. Like saying things that was like not subtle. I knew what she was doing. She was trying to like, guilt me into coming over that night. So I knew. I was like, fuck, this girl is 100% going to try to get me to come in or invite me in or stay like the night. And I was going to have to deny her. And I was kind of concerned about how that was going to go because I was for sure going to drive her home. I mean, at this point, she was like 13 drinks deep. So I was like, I got to make sure she gets there like safe at least, right? So eventually we like finally leave the bar. It finally happens, and like I'm kind of like linked arms with her because like she's stumbling, she's laughing, she's talking to everybody on the way out, by the way. Even when we get outside, there's like a bunch of people smoking darts. We had to like say goodbye and talk to all of them and do that whole awkward like they're being like, "Oh, Haley, is this your new boyfriend? Ha ha ha." And she's being like, "Guys, stop it. Don't embarrass me." It was like, "Oh my fucking God, get me out of here now." So eventually I get her home. I'm walking her to the door because I'm a gentleman, but also because like, goddamn, you're so hammered. I need to make sure you get in there safe. And exactly what I feared was going to happen happened. She was trying to convince me to come in. She was kind of like begging me to come in, being like, I don't want to be here alone. It's scary, blah, blah, blah. Like, please. And I was just like, no, I can't. I'm sorry. I gotta go, blah, blah, blah. And she was getting kind of like teary eyed, like not teary eyed, but just being like drunk girl cry, that type of thing. And I was like, fuck. It was so awkward. And I was just like, no, it's fine. Maybe I shouldn't have done this, but I was like, we'll definitely like see each other again. This was a lot of fun. Like, I just have to go home. I got a really early morning, but I'll see you soon, blah, blah. And that, she let that happen. That made this a lot easier. So she was like, okay. And then moving forward, I ghosted her. I'm not going to lie. I never spoke to her ever again. So if you're listening to this, I'm sorry, but goddamn, that was a really fucking bad date. And third, last, and definitely least favorite of all time. I mean, I saved this for last because I'm super embarrassed about it, and some people won't make it this far in the video, so they won't get to hear it because the less people that know, the better. This is only for the real stans, the people who made it this far. I'm going to sum it up quickly. First of all, again, because I'm super embarrassed, but also because this video is getting very long. So this third date, I was in an area called St. Catharines. That's a place in Ontario. It's right near Hamilton, and both of those places are absolute cesspools. I mean, they're horrible. If you're from there, I mean, I'm sorry, but me and you, we both know it's brutal. They're terrible places. So, to nobody's surprise, the girl I linked up from that area was trash. I'm sorry, but she was trash. She was like an attractive, younger, like 25-year-old girl, but her person, it was bad. When I met up with her, I could tell almost immediately. I was like, oh, this chick's a pillhead. Like, for sure. I'd been around enough of them to know based on her demeanor and attitude and, I don't know, body language. I was like, oh yeah, pillhead for sure. So I canceled the whole date, all our plans. I mean, we were initially going to go to like a restaurant, the typical thing, but I canceled all that and I was like, yo, I got to make this quick. So we're just going to hit Don's, like McDonald's. And she didn't even bat an eye. Most girls would be like offended or sad. I mean, within the first 30 seconds of meeting this girl, I was basically like, oh yeah, all those plans we had, fuck that, never mind. I'm going to take you to McDonald's, buy you a Happy Meal, and get the fuck out of here. I mean, that's pretty much exactly what I did. We went through the drive-thru, bought some chicken nuggets, got a Diet Coke, went over to this parking lot that overlooked the highway and watched cars go by while she ate chicken nuggets and complained that the Diet Coke was like hurting her stomach. But like, no, it wasn't. It was for sure the pills. I mean, this girl was probably on drugs. This was probably the only meal she ate that entire day. If anything, I was helping her out. So while we were just sitting in this parking lot, I mean, we were smoking weed, chilling, cutting it up, like very briefly for like 10 minutes max. And in this 10 minutes, I mean, she had let it slip multiple times that she had a boyfriend. And I was like, what the fuck? What are we doing here? I was like, oh my God, what am I doing with my life? I got to get out of here. This is such a waste of time. I'm grossed out. And within like 20 minutes of knowing her, 30 minutes max, she was trying to fuck me in the back seat. I was denying it up and down. No, thank you. No, 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 no. And she was also like offering anything. I mean, she was just trying to make moves. She was trying to be intimate. I mean, she was asking him if she could suck my dick. I was saying no, all that. And we just kept smoking weed. But through her hard work and persistence, she did eventually persuade me because she offered a hand job. Now, I thought, all right, well, that's not like that intimate. And I could probably like live with myself after this, right? It wouldn't be that bad. Mistake. I mean, holy shit. The post nut clarity that hit me after that, I was like, get me the fuck out of here right now. So I drove back to her apartment. I dropped her off. I mean, the second her foot, I mean, this might be a dick move, but like the second she got out of my truck, I was just peeling away. I was like, see ya. And I was gone. I was out of there. I never spoke to her again, obviously. That was miserable. That one was hard to live with. I mean, I had a bad self-image. It was a hit to my ego, but, and I think I should just mention it here, quickly throw it in, that was the first hand job ever in my entire life to make me nut. I mean, she was good at it, but that concerns me because that screams to me that there's a lot of practice there, but it is what it is. Since then, I've had like long-term relationships, other girlfriends, well-rounded, put-together individuals. So I've bounced back drastically, thankfully. That was a low, but I mean, I feel like everybody has those, right? Just agree with me, even if you don't, so I feel better. But anyways, if you made it this far, I appreciate you. Peace.